So 2 weeks ago, some of my comrades and I made a trip to Tularosa, New Mexico, which is just outside of Alamogordo, to attend a vigil that was held to acknowledge the negative and deadly health effects suffered by the people of New Mexico from the Trinity test. Around 900 names of people who have lost their lives to cancer were read aloud and honored. In some cases, entire generations of families have been wiped out due to the exposure from the Trinity test radioactive fallout. Many of the survivors have never received federal assistance or compensation for the disaster that these people were unjustly faced with. For people who don't know, the Trinity test was the first ever detonation of a nuclear weapon, and it was conducted by the United States Army on July 16, 1945 at 5:29 a.m. in the Jornada del Muerto Desert as part of the Manhattan Project. Communities like Tularosa that were downwind of the testing site were exposed to poisonous atomic ash that rained down from the sky. Due to the top secret nature of the nuclear development going on in the country, the testing of the atomic bomb was not made public, nor was anyone in the neighboring towns warned that a nuclear explosion would take place just miles away from their homes. The people were even lied to weeks after the detonation took place. The United States would go on to drop atomic bombs similar to the one detonated at the Trinity test site on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan on August 6 and 9, 1945. The Southwest region is not unfamiliar with nuclear activity. We were part of the uranium mining boom that fueled nuclear development during the Cold War, and we currently house the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons in the country. Nevada has a similar history of being used as a playground for the government's testing of nuclear weapons. Increases of various cancers were reported from the mid-1950s through 1980 in areas around the Southwest as a result of these nuclear tests. Here in New Mexico, U.S. Senator Martin Heinrich has made clear his support for welcoming a new nuclear age by securing $40 million to modernize infrastructure at the White Sands Missile Range and is using $361 million to fund plutonium research at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. They say that expanding the nuclear weapon industry will create jobs and opportunity for the people of New Mexico, but we know that this will only funnel massive amounts of wealth into the hands of only a handful of investors and leave the poor struggling to survive, as so many already do, not only in the state, but in the United States, across the country. The Obama administration authorized a nuclear modernization program that was estimated to cost $1 trillion over the next 30 years. The current administration is on track to make sure this continues. Make no mistake, this is all meant as a way to make the idea of nuclear activity more palpable to the public again, as we see the ruling class gear up for confrontation with Russia, Iran, and China. We need only to look at history to know that the consequences of nuclear war are devastating. The United States' current nuclear inventory, with our over 4,000 nuclear warheads, has the power to completely obliterate any nation and spread destruction across the world. More recently, several proposals have been put forth to the state of New Mexico in the way of welcoming this new nuclear age. Los Alamos National Laboratory, most notable for creating the first atomic bomb, is expanding its nuclear plutonium pit production. Pits are the core of atomic bombs that are responsible for the first and most severe explosive stage of nuclear weapon detonation, and they can last for about 150 years if left unused. Another proposal on the table is designating southeast New Mexico between Hobbs and Carlsbad a dump site for all of the nation's radioactive waste for years to come. Not only would this pose an extreme health risk to the workers at the waste facility and to the communities in the area who risk exposure, but to the environment as well. The nuclear fuel and waste management company Holtec International's proposal was recently accepted by the Federal Nuclear Regulatory Commission, licensing the project to begin construction and operation by 2022. No one can guarantee that the radioactive waste at the site will not leak. No one can guarantee that the transportation of this waste will reach the facility safely. So they see New Mexico as a wasteland that can be used as a dump site for all of the nation's highest level radioactive material and ignore the fact that we are one of the poorest states in the country with large populations of people of color and indigenous lands and communities. This is environmental racism. We've seen time and time again that when an environmental disaster occurs, it's always the poor and most marginalized people who pay the price. Instead of providing health care, education, adequate housing to meet the people's needs, the ruling class is instead funding this country's billion-dollar military budget, something that has the support of both the Democrat and Republican parties. Why is it okay for the U.S. to continue to build its nuclear arsenal while demanding other countries disarm theirs? They say that these weapons of mass destruction are a deterrent to protect the United States, but who is the only country to ever use nuclear weapons in the first place? Right. We demand an end to the outrageous military budget that keeps expanding year after year to the tune of $82 billion in taxpayer money. We demand an end to the production of nuclear weapons and the disarmament of the United States' nuclear arsenal. The people of the United States and the people of the world do not want war. Only the billionaire ruling class, who profits from arms manufacturing and nuclear development, have a stake in endless war. If we wish to truly have peace, live in a healthy and sustainable environment, we must change the system that does nothing but extract the world's resources, pollutes the environment, and exploits workers. We must continue to stand with the people of the countries that are in the U.S.'s crosshairs against imperialist domination and aggression, and we here in the belly of the beast must continue to organize against our own ruling class and fight for socialism. Thank you.